Welcome to We Hope in God channel. We're doing something a bit different today, a special kind of deep dive. This really came out of some personal quiet time, actually, and we wanted to share some of the grace and insight that came from spending time in God's Word. So our mission today is to meditate together on this theme, the end of wilderness training. We're going to unpack a really specific, pivotal moment in Israel's history and hopefully see how God's timing then kind of reveals his love and, his readiness in our own lives today. We're diving into the book of Numbers for this. And the verse that really anchored this whole reflection, it's right at the start of chapter 26, Numbers 26, verses 1 and 2. It reads, "After the plague, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, take a census of the whole Israelite community by families, all those 20 years old or more who are able to serve in the army of Israel."
Right. And what jumps out, especially if you're, digging into the history here,
Mm.
is that this isn't the first time they've done this. There was another census. But this specific command, right now count every man ready for war. This is historically and spiritually huge. Seismic, really.
Mm-hmm.
To get why this count matters so much, you really have to see the long road they traveled to get here, and frankly, the shadow of that first generation.
Okay, yeah, let's zoom out a bit on that history because you can't really appreciate the end without remembering the beginning, right? It all started way back with Joseph. God raises him up, prime minister in Egypt, and that becomes the way God saves the whole family of Israel during that massive famine, lets them settle safely there.
Exactly. It was a season of safety, of growth, but, things change.
Yep.
Eventually, a new Pharaoh comes along,
Mm-hmm.
one who didn't respect or fear the God of Israel, feared their numbers instead.
Mm-hmm.
And the shift was dramatic, terrifying, really. Safety gone, replaced by state-sponsored slavery.
Yeah.
Just brutal labor meant to crush them.
But God steps in. We all know the stories. The mighty miracles, the plagues, parting the Red Sea. He doesn't just free them. He pulls them right out of Egypt and leads them straight into the wilderness. And that wilderness time, it wasn't a wrong turn. It wasn't just punishment. It was like a classroom.
Precisely. That's a great way to put it. The whole 40-year period, it was training. God was shaping a people. Remember, they'd only known slavery, fear. He was teaching them dependence on him, forging them into, well, the text says, his army and his priestly nation. But here's the key detail people often miss, connecting it back to the census. There was an earlier census, 40 years before this one, back in Numbers chapter 1. And that first census, it was fundamentally a census of failure.
Okay, tell us more about that contrast. That feels like the real heart of this.
Well, the generation counted in Numbers 1, that first group. They were the ones who saw God's power, but then rebelled at the border of the promised land. They refused to trust God's promises, got scared by the giants in the land, and actually wanted to go back to Egypt, back to slavery. And because of that unbelief, God declared that every man 20 and older counted in that first census, except for Caleb and Joshua, would die in the wilderness. So, yes, the wilderness was their training ground, but for that generation, it tragically became their cemetery too.
Wow.
Now, jump forward 40 years to Numbers 26, where we started. We're counting the second generation. Notice when the census is commanded. Verse 1 says, after the plague.
Ah, right.
That specific plague links back to a recent final act of judgment after the moral failure at Peor. The judgment is done. The old unbelieving generation is gone. The final harsh test, in a way, is passed. This second census, then, isn't about judgment looming. It's a declaration of grace. It's God signaling, okay, training's over. The time is now. You guys are ready.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that completely shifts the perspective. It's not just counting heads, it's like our roll call for destiny. This command to count the new army means that long season of wilderness training is officially, finally over. And this is where it gets really personal, right? This is the heart of the reflection. Imagine you're part of this new generation, the generation of faith. You hear this command, count the army. How do you react inside? Do you feel that surge like, yes, finally, we've trained for this. Let's go. Let's fight. Let's take our inheritance, full of confidence. Or even knowing you're the chosen generation, do you kind of tremble secretly? Do you think about Jericho's walls, the battles ahead, and wish maybe just for a little longer you could go back to the manna, back to the wilderness routine? Do you look at the challenge and think, deep down, I need an extension. I'm still not ready.
That tension is so relatable, isn't it? We feel it in our own lives.
Yeah.
God makes it clear sometimes that a season is over. Time to step into a new role, a new ministry, maybe a deeper commitment in a relationship. And how often do we instinctively pull back, saying, Lord, I don't think I'm ready yet. Maybe just a bit more training here in the comfort zone, the wilderness.
Yeah, which raises a really practical question, doesn't it? If we're doing a deep dive, how do you tell the difference between Genuine, wise caution, knowing you still need to grow, and just procrastination. Procrastination dressed up as spiritual humility or fear. If the fear of the battle can feel bigger than the battle itself, how do we know when it's time?
That's where looking back at why this sense has happened helps so much. The key difference is who decided it was time. It wasn't the Israelites voting on their readiness. If they based it on their collective feelings or confidence levels, oh, they might have stayed wandering for another 40 years, always finding reasons why they weren't quite prepared, always focusing on their own flaws.
Right. They'd always feel inadequate.
Exactly. But God gently, firmly reminds us here, and in our lives, the schedule isn't set by our feelings of readiness or our confidence. It's set by His perfect timing. And His timing is rooted in His faithfulness, His plan, His covenant. He doesn't call you forward into the battle until He knows the conditions are right. And crucially, until He knows He's done the necessary preparatory work, maybe even in the generation before you, like with the Israelites.
So the message isn't really just be braver. It's more like the commander knows the plan, he's prepared the way, and he says it's go time because he's ready to bring the victory.
That's it, exactly. When God gives the order to move forward, it's fundamentally a signal that the training season has achieved its purpose. You're equipped enough for the next step, that fear we feel. Often it comes from mixing up our job with His job. Our job is to obey, to take the step in faith. His job is the strategy, the resources, the ultimate outcome. He guarantees that.
And understanding
Yeah.
that God takes full responsibility for the outcome when He issues the command.
Yeah.
There's such peace in that, isn't there?
Deep peace.
These faith battles He calls us into, they aren't designed to crush us or overwhelm us. They're actually the pathways He uses to show us the victory He's already won for us in Christ.
Yeah, think about the practical shifts for Israel. The wilderness. That meant passively waiting for daily manna, survival mode. The promised land. That meant actively fighting for the land, cultivating it, and eventually eating its rich produce. A totally different way of life. The training prepared them for that richer life, but it required courage, action, labor. Stepping forward meant trading the familiar, maybe even comfortable past for a much better but challenging future.
And that's really the application for us today, isn't it? Letting go of wanting that perpetual spiritual wilderness, that comfort zone, shedding the fear that whispers, I'm not enough. Doing that lets you experience something totally new. You get to step into the joy of fighting the battles that actually belong to God and winning them with Him. Your courage doesn't have to be manufactured by you. It just grows naturally when you trust the one who gave the command, the one who took the census. So may this little meditation on Numbers 26 be just a small light for your walk with Christ today. If you've been sensing God calling you out of your own wilderness season, maybe feeling that nudge forward, remember this story. Remember the census. The command was given. It was given in love, and it was given in perfect timing. You're being called to step onto solid ground now, to possess the promises that maybe others before you were too afraid to claim. May you walk forward with courage, knowing that the perfect commander is right there with you, and knowing that the victory you're being called to step into, well, it's already been won.
You led me through the desert night. You shaped my trembling heart. You carried me through barren lands where fear and faith both start. You whispered in the silent days, my child, the time is near. Yet still I doubted in my soul, holding on to hidden fear. But now your voice is clear to me. It's you who sets the time, not by my strength, not by my sight, but by your will divine. The wilderness has trained my heart, and now you call my name to step into the promised fight. For you have won the flame. I lift my eyes to where you lead. You go before, you intercede. The battle's yours, not mine to claim. Your victory shines through my frame. Here I stand, for you are with me. You've gone before and won completely. I step in faith, no fear within me. For you are near, forever with me. You led me through the desert night. You shaped my trembling heart. You carried me through barren lands where fear and faith both start. You whispered in the silent days, my child, the time is near. Yet still I doubted in my soul, holding on to hidden fear. But now your voice is clear to me. It's you who sets the time. Not by my strength, not by my sight, but by your will divine. The wilderness has trained my heart, and now you call my name to step into the promised fight. For you have won the flame. I lift my eyes